change is scary. Like after the pandemic and after I started exploring new avenues of how I wanted to approach my career and honestly every aspect of my life, I'm like, yeah, reinventing yourself is needed and we can do it whenever. If we think we're old, if we think we're young, like if you feel like you want to explore something different, go for it. Every time I go back home for the holidays, my parents try and convince me to move back. It's like, sin falta. And they're like, you know the room's here, we can set you up. But yeah, this time around, it was very hard. They were very intentional with giving me that message that it could be easier for me to move back, settle myself back to like, you know, a stable foundation, and then come back to LA if that's what, you know, I desire to do. I already know how much I've evolved my mental perspective to life, and it compared to like the way I was raised is a little different. And not that it wouldn't work if I did move back home, like of course we can make anything work, but there is kind of like, I think a shield,
like a barrier, right?
Like a barrier where you understand, like I'm an adult, I think about things in my own way, and though you accept and respect their input and their perspective forever, you still want to make sure you're like doing things that feel right and aligned with you, not just your parent. You know where your heart is like guiding you, so like being confident in that like inner guidance, that was like a big thing for me. Because of course, you know, moving back with your parents, I think like if you could do it, go ahead. It's smart, and it also benefits your own spirit, you know, because at least for me, being in LA and being so far away from them, it does affect me in certain moments, being so far.
In a bad way though, you think? Or
yeah,
it has its both. It has
its good and it has its bad days. I feel like it's a sacrifice. My mom always says, we gotta sacrifice in life, and that's what I remember. And thankfully I can travel back home often, so it's not too bad. Every few months I try to go back home, and that helps. It's not that bad,
yeah,
living far away, but I do miss them every day. And like I said, it's like a sacrifice.
Do you talk to them every day?
Yes, I talk to them every day. I have like a reminder on my phone to call my family members once a week. So I do my rounds. I get on the phone, I call my grandma, I call my brother, I call my godchildren. Yeah. I need to be better at it, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously life happens.
Schedules get busy.
Things get busy. I try to stay consistent and speak to them even though they're on the other coast often. Yeah. I grew up very family oriented though, so it comes with the territory.
Were you a first child or?
I'm the second and last.
Okay.
It's only me and my brother. I'm the baby of the house.
Gotcha.
But I'm the only one that left. Like my brother still lives at home, and I didn't think I was gonna move across the country when I was living at home. I thought I was gonna, that kind of like storyline where I was like married out of the, you know what I'm saying, like engaged out of the house, like that kind of like old
not like independently
way.
First and then
right. But things changed. After I graduated, I like decided that LA was where I wanted to come, and now I'm here, and I don't really plan on going back.
Yeah. So what were you doing like before you said kind of like producing?
So I went to school for broadcast media, and my goal was to go into the entertainment reporting industry, start off on a network. My dream was the E! Network, and then work my way into acting and then branch out from there. I ended up moving in 2018 of January, and I did it. I ended up booking this bilingual talk show. I was their LA correspondent, and the show was called Latinx Now. We would film the show both in Spanish and English. It would air on Telemundo, and then it would air on E! Digital. So I got that experience. Around the same time, I ended up booking like my first acting gig. It was for a YouTube original series, their first Spanish series. We filmed it out in Puerto Rico back in 2019. This was right before the pandemic hit. I was doing it all, you know. The reasons why I wanted to come to LA, I feel like I accomplished those things. You know, I was working for the network I had dreamed to work for. I was in the acting industry already, and I knew that if I wanted to like take the acting and branch out, I could in that moment. And then the pandemic hit. I had a lot of time to reflect. Obviously all the things stopped, and I had a lot of time to just think about the industry I was in, there's a lot of things that I also found out about my industry that didn't make me feel the best. You know, I decided to make changes and just think of new ideas of how I can still be in my industry, but the way I wanted to be in it, you know, and take a little bit more of that control. I stopped wanting to do entertainment reporting in general. Like, I retired. I like to say I retired because that's how I feel. Like, I just hung my shoes up for entertainment reporting, put acting in the back burner. I'm not completely done with acting, I don't feel. Just has to be the right role, a purposeful role, and a purposeful project. But now I'm more interested in developing my own content around the topics that I have a passion for. And I've always been into spirituality and like psycho-spiritual worlds. My plans is to bridge the mental and emotional awareness that we all have spiritually with the culture. Create content around those two worlds. Have a podcast that's soon gonna be launching, and that's gonna be the topics we're gonna be speaking on. It just feels more aligned with what I'm into, what my beliefs are, and with what I was doing before. It just didn't seem aligned anymore after I reflected on it. Comes to like jobs like this, with this hosting gig, this is for International Women's Day. We have panel speakers that are very much focused on female empowerment. So when it's jobs like this that feel aligned, I'm all open to them. I have a lot of friends in the industry, thankfully, that are either behind the scenes, behind the camera, or in front of the camera, whether they're music producers or actors or content creators that have built a solid platform already in the industry. And I have these conversations with them all the time of just like what we do to stay grounded, or what we do to stay aligned and in peace outside of our hectic schedule or being in the industry. You know, what do we do to like bring ourselves back home? And now I feel like we should have a platform to talk about it. I think it's important to share with the public how we stay grounded, you know, and also like let them know they're not alone. Like, we all have those days where we feel we need to disconnect, recharge, come home to ourselves. And I think like building platforms where we can broadcast that and how to do that is like the main goal for me now. My main goal, once I like discovered that what I was doing before wasn't completely making me feel the best, was like, all right, universe, I give up my will. Like, literally, that was my prayer. I was like, I give up my will and I want yours. And whatever you feel is aligned with my mission here, like my purpose here, guide me there. And that's what I've been trusting in and just following my intuition. And I feel like I still love being in front of the camera. I still love talking to people, you know, adapting characters through acting. It has to be intentional and it has to align, because energy is a real thing. Everything is energy, and I don't think we were very much taught that. But I do feel like we've lived in a world where we weren't taught emotional intelligence and how to separate our energy from each other. I did a lot of research. I read a lot of books on energy. Instead of absorbing it, we need to observe it. You know what I mean? Like, watch it and not like take it in. And I think that we come from a society where we take in a lot and we don't need to. We react. And we should be responding. That's a practice in itself. Right. It comes from awareness, like you just said. And if you don't teach yourself, I feel now, how to be aware, it's impossible, because we're so distracted. We live in a world built to distract us. And if you don't take that conscious decision to like take some time away from it and bring that awareness in, bring that grounding in, oh my God, you'll get lost in the sauce. Right, because we're all human. Like, it's just normal for us to. It's normal to like be entertained. We aren't taught how to transmute energy. And I know those terms maybe some people aren't familiar with, but all that means is taking a negative experience that you've had and turning it into a positive. But it's like work to do that. You can't just like gaslight yourself. You have to really process whatever it was that you went through and shift it through your perspective. And that's doable, but that takes work, it takes practice, it takes consistency. I had to learn how to do that through all the things I've like researched and read about. And now I'm like, you know what? Like, let's build these platforms to help other people do it. Because it's made me so much happier. It's changed who I am completely. I don't recognize the version of me I was yesterday. I barely recognize the version of me I was 3 years ago, you know?
Constantly evolving. I love it.
Constantly evolving, yeah. And I feel like we evolve every minute of every day. I'm not gonna lie, because that also goes into the perspective of like living in a multi-dimensional world. Have you heard of that?
You're already going next level.
You go into there's like a trip to Narnia, learning about all these things, but yeah, you just learn that we can shift to a different version of ourselves the moment we make a different decision. We're making decisions throughout our day. And if you, like we were saying, respond instead of react, that's it. You're shifting into a new version of yourself, a version of you that you weren't before, that wouldn't have responded that way.
That's so true. I love that word choice, because reaction is like responding without thinking, but responding, there's an intention and there's a purpose.
Exactly. All right, so we are officially done with hair and glam. And now you guys have to step outside so we can get dressed. Trina's with us. Right to queue. Hello. My guest of honor for the day.
And I am honored. That is right.
Start the day. I'm gonna bring you guys along just so you guys can see how beautiful Opali puts this together. And yeah, stay tuned. Are enjoying it so far. Help me welcome Sarah to the stage.
If I was an entrepreneur, I didn't know a lot of entrepreneurial women at the time. It's so important for us to get into rooms like this and be involved with brands like this and to lift each other up the ladder. So if you're going through the door first, if you're successful and beautiful and all of these amazing things, multifaceted as we are as women, and you're walking through the door, hold it open for the woman behind you. And I think that's when we truly get to make a difference. Yes, sister, right? We get to make a difference in the world when we do that.
As we continue to recognize and honor the impressive achievements of women globally, I want to introduce you to our next panel speaker. Please help me welcome Joy Donald to the stage. What's the most effective way to counteract the negative stereotypes of feminism, in your opinion?
Just keep being your damn self. And don't worry about the things that these fools are saying in relation to it. Like, one of the ways that we go ahead and actually take back our power is by realizing that we have power in the first place. And part of that power is to go ahead and disrupt this world with your fullness.
But whatever that means for you meditation-wise, like, I think that there's something so important about being able to sit with yourself and be comfortable and not feel like you have to run away from your own thoughts. So even if it's just 3 minutes a day.